Hello, everybody. My name is JJ Hardy. I own Victory Leadership Coaching. I'm a retired Army veteran who is trying to take all my knowledge that I've accumulated over the years, both in work experience and education, and put it out into the civilian workforce. This webinar is going to be to just kind of highlight some of those things and explain some special things that I have as an offering with my company that will uh, that will hopefully be as interesting to everyone else as it is to me. So without further ado, I am going to go ahead and get started. Oh, and incidentally, please put any questions that you may have down in the chat, and I will get to them after the presentation is over. And if I pause in the middle of my presentation, it's going to be probably because somebody else popped in. We have a few participants that might be still showing up over here. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. It's still not popping up there. It's okay. All right. I am showing that is on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So again, my company is Victory Leadership Coaching. I am Chief Warrant Officer 2, retired from the U.S. Army, JJ Hardy. And let's keep on moving here. So here's the agenda for today's webinar. So I'll be giving an introduction, and then I'll talk about the problem that I've seen. I did work a couple jobs out in the civilian workforce, and so this is the problems that I've noticed, which caused me to start a company. I'm going to define leadership and influence. I'm going to explain the difference between a boss and a leader. I will talk about a concept that I've become accustomed to, and it works really, really well, and that's decentralized leadership. Talk about skills that should be developed, some leadership attributes, some facts. I'll talk about the services that I offer, and then I will conclude and stop recording and then open it up for questions. So who am I? I kind of already mentioned that I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I've been married for 17 years, and I have two wonderful kids. That was a while ago. That picture on the right, I was still on active duty. My kids are a lot older now. My daughter is a junior in high school, and my son's in his last year of middle school. But in the Army, I did transportation logistics management, and I taught a lot of leadership and resiliency courses. So that's one of the reasons that I'm prompted to do what I do. So the problem that I've noticed out into this in the civilian workforce is that, you know, regardless of what it says on the screen there, I'll talk about that statistic here in a second, but I've noticed that people tend to focus on tasks and statistics, and they don't always focus on the development and the goals of their people. So according to a poll done for Forbes magazine, 18% of managers demonstrate a high level of talent for managing others. And that leaves the rest of it, you know, that 82% of managers, they aren't very good at leading people at all. And I'll be honest with you, I've held 3 positions since 2018, not including my own business that I started when I first got out as a freight broker. But in all 3 of those positions, I've actually noticed this. They tend to focus on everything that needs to be done, but they don't focus on, you know, if people are in the right job, and, you know, if they don't really have regular conversations with their people, have a counseling program, and make sure that their people are taken care of. So you see the big U.S. Army there. According to So this is the definition of leadership according to U.S. Army Field Manual 6-22. Leadership is providing purpose, direction, and motivation while operating to accomplish the mission and improve the organization. Well, guess what? Most people out into the civilian workforce, they have this perception of what the military has for leadership. And yes, it's true that there's a rank structure and you have to follow orders. What they don't understand about the military, or some people do, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, people are just ignorant to the fact that the military is what it is, but they really truly take a lot of time to educate all of their leaders so that they can create influence instead of this, do as I say, not as I do sort of thing that a lot of people get caught up in, and they think the military runs is you just barking orders and people have to listen. Letting somebody else in. So leadership is, as I said, I already went over the definition, but purpose, direction, and motivation, that's actually an equation. If you put those three things together, that will actually help people create influence. And so purpose is helping your employees or your or whoever, understand their why. If you help people understand their why, and I'm not talking about their personal why, but why they are in your organization, what their overall purpose is, what types of things does their position support within your organization, those types of things. Direction, that is the, understanding their day-to-day, what are they supposed to do in their job, and those types of things. The true execution style things is what I'm referring to as direction, and not just what they're doing now, but if they get done with that, what are they doing next? And motivation, that's them knowing that they're cared for. And what I mean by that is you have regular conversations with them. You don't have to get to know them enough to be their friend, but you do have to know them well enough to where if something's off during the day at work, that you can walk up to them and say, hey, look, what's going on? Or, pull them off to the side and have a genuine conversation with them. And doing that creates trust, and it lets them know that you truly care about them. And if they know that they're cared for, then they'll be motivated to come to work every day. So purpose, direction, and motivation, if you put those things together, that's how you create influence. And what is influence? I'm glad you asked. So influence is the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone else. So the influence is actually the effect itself. When you create influence with others, when you ask them to do things, it's like when you're talking to a friend, right? If somebody asks you to do something, they think of it as more of a favor, and they're happy to help. They really feel like they're part of the cause, and they want to do the things that you're asking them to do. Here's a great quote that kind of embodies that whole idea. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. Now, that came from John Quincy Adams, and that's back when our government was a little bit different. That's back when the Constitution was made. So, I mean, somebody like John Quincy Adams, that's a great quote, and he truly understands that, and the Constitution sort of embodies that sort of thing as well. All right. So the difference between a manager and a leader, between a boss and a leader. So as I said in the beginning, if you're a boss or just a manager, then you're focused more on the tasks and statistics, and you're caring less about the people. So you see that guy sitting on the chair, barking orders and having those guys drag him along the ground. Well, a lot of people lead from their office, and they rarely check on everything that's going on, and they don't get along with it. They don't take the time to get to know their people. You see that at the bottom. That joker in the front is leading by example. So not only is he asking these people to do something, when they're struggling, he jumps in, he lends a hand, and he's not only helping them do it, but he's giving them a clear direction moving forward. So a leader looks after the team, that he has vision, so he knows what's going to be coming next, so that he's able to answer questions on the way forward for whatever mission they're assigned. He innovates, takes risks, and he focuses on the people. A manager, of course, all of those things that a manager does, they need to be done. You know, they provide oversight. They're an expert at executing tasks and tracking those tasks. They use the proven things that work. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're trying to improve anything. They're just out there executing what's supposed to be done, and they mitigate risk. Don't do this because of this. Well, that doesn't always work. Again, people have to understand the why, so the purpose. So focus more on the people rather than just the tasks. And if you get to know your team and understand their strengths and weaknesses, you're going to have a lot better understanding of what needs to be done, because you're going to understand your people, and maybe you need to reassign people to different tasks because it's their strength. So the idea of decentralized leadership, I'm getting ready to create another course on this. I've already got the outline done and all the stuff in it. All I got to do is finish recording my videos, but I do touch on it on my first time leaders course. But decentralized leadership is the idea that you're spreading the decision-making in your organization so that there's not a central person or small group of people that are making the decisions for everything. You know, you have people at different levels that are allowed to innovate and create ideas and make decisions for things that happen at their level. It works really well. If this is something that your organization is not doing, I'm not saying that you need to implement that, but I think that if you really want to have a lot of the work streamline and get done a lot more quickly, and you want to enable your teams to be innovative, I think spreading that decision making through the organization is a really important thing to do. And it takes some stress off of those senior people, because they're not always having people come up to them and bug them with questions. So that's decentralized leadership. I just wanted to do a plug on that, and I do the same thing in my first time leaders course. So important skills to develop. And that's really what my first time leadership course is all about. So there are a lot more things in this, but generally speaking, leaders need to be able to set goals. They need to be able to understand priorities, whether they're making them or they're being set from higher. And they need to understand how to prioritize, knowing those priorities, and take action. They need to be a quick problem solver. They need to be competent in their job and competent enough in the job of what their people are doing so that they can answer questions on those things. They need to be emotionally intelligent. And what I mean by that is that if you're the type of person that lets their emotions burble up at work, and you tend to either cry a lot or yell a lot or really go to extremes, then there are regulation techniques. And of course, I'm not a counselor, but I can assure you that there are techniques to use to keep that from happening. And it's important as a leader to embody that, because those type of people nobody wants to approach, and you have to be approachable if you're a leader. You need to be a clear communicator, not just clear, but also concise. You need to have the ability to get directly to the point and cut out a lot of the fat when it comes to, the additional stuff. You don't want to be a rambler. You need to be confident. You need to be able to say things and have the illusion that you're standing behind all of those things. So here's some more facts. And I pulled these directly off of Deloitte University Press. Organizations with a strong learning culture are 92% more likely to develop novel products and processes, 52% more likely to be productive, 52% more productive, 56% more likely to be the first to market with their products and services, and 17% more profitable than their peers. And if you're a business owner, that's good to know. And their engagement and retention rates are also 30 to 50% higher. I didn't make this up, people. I found this on a website, and it kind of supports what I'm trying to say and put out there with the world. And so I had to share this with anybody who's interested in potentially getting a learning program or a coaching program within their organization. So these are my services that I provide. First and foremost, I would love for everyone to, if they haven't already, or if they've never received it, get a baseline for their leadership development. And so I developed an online self-paced course called the First Time Leaders Course, and it's available on my website. If you're interested in it, I can send you a link. But I'm a firm believer that leaders without education create bad habits. So building that baseline is super important. I developed the First Time Leaders Course to do that. It gives you a general understanding of everything that you should be working on for your professional leadership development. And once you have that strong foundation built, then you can always keep that in the back of your mind as you're moving forward with the rest of your professional development journey. So I also have group memberships, and group memberships, it's just it's built to bring those people in and, nurture them while they're taking the course and answer any questions. And I also, that next bullet there, provide a weekly access to live instructional calls. Well, that's within that group. So I stream those live. However, if you want to be in the call like this here, so if you want the Zoom link that I use to stream that, then that's an additional upcharge, but it's important for those people that really want to move forward and they want to take ownership of their professional development, because they can build dialogue right there in that call. Not to say that you can't, type it in Facebook and ask questions that I get to at the end of the call. However, you don't get the same interaction when you're just typing questions into the bottom. So the live instructional calls and you actually participating in those means that we can have a genuine conversation one-on-one. Now, the one-on-one coaching and mentoring. Coaching is basically taking the knowledge that I have and helping you implement something that you're trying to develop or maybe put in place either with you or your organization. And that's just setting goals, moving forward with those goals, providing suggestions along the way, and just truly diving in and getting your nails in, gripping in with your nails and digging in and actually implementing those things. Those are for the people that are anxious to make change and they are excited about it. So those are my services. And so I do have the First Time Leaders Course. That's the one on the bottom there on the right side. But I also, if anybody is interested, and I can provide this link after I stop recording here, but I wrote a pocket guide. It's a book that I wrote, and it will be on for sale on Amazon here very soon. But I wrote a book on why organizations should develop their leaders. It's a short one. It's not very long. The pocket guide itself is going to be only 30 some odd pages. Once I turn that into a bifold book and sell it on Amazon, it'll probably be a little bit more than double that. But that is a really good way to, really build the understanding a little bit deeper in your own mind. If you're interested in that, I have your email addresses. Just type, I'm interested in the book in the chat, and I'd be happy to provide you a link to be able to sign up and get that. What's next here? The conclusion of my presentation. So if you have a high turnover rate and people tell you that they hate working for your company, you might need to focus on your leadership principles, There are many types of leaders, but the business landscape requires transformational leadership. So the leadership principles that I'm talking about is that leaders need to have a vision and they need to be able to inspire change, not just follow a proven path. They need to communicate consistently with their people and never leave them uninformed. They need to always have integrity and do the right thing. And they need to take ownership of their successes and failures, but not just their successes and failures, but also the successes and failures of the people on their team. You can always look at something that somebody else has done and figure out if there's a way to improve your processes to make that better so that that type of mistake doesn't happen again. And again, like it says at the bottom, you can book a free consultation to see if we can partner together to make your leadership goals a reality. And now I am going to stop recording and I'm going to open it up for questions.